Mark 14:43. And immediately while he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, came up, accompanied by a crowd with swords and clubs, who were from the chief priest, the scribes, and the elders. Now he who was betraying him had given them a signal, saying, "Whomever I kiss, he is the one. Arrest him and lead him away under guard." And after coming, Judas immediately went to him and said, "Rabbi," and kissed him. And they laid hands on him and arrested him. But one of those who stood by drew his sword and struck the slave of the high priest and cut off his ear. And Jesus said to them, "Have you come out with swords and clubs to arrest me, as you would against a man inciting a revolt? Every day I was with you within the temple grounds teaching, and you did not arrest me. But this has taken place so that the scriptures will be fulfilled." And when his disciples had left him and fled, a young man who was following him, wearing nothing but a linen sheet over his naked body, and they seized him. But he pulled free, and the linen sheet, he escaped naked. They led Jesus away to the high priest, and all the chief priests, the elders, and the scribes gathered together. And Peter had followed him at a distance, right into the courtyard of the high priest. And he was sitting with the officers and warming himself by the fire. Now the chief priest and the entire council were trying to obtain testimony against Jesus to put him to death. And they were not finding any, for many people were giving false testimony against him, and so their testimonies were not consistent. And then some stood up and began giving false testimony against him, saying, "We heard him say, 'I will destroy this temple made by hands, and in 3 days I will build another made without hands.' And not even in this respect was their testimony consistent." And then the high priest stood up and came forward and questioned Jesus, saying, "Do you not offer any answer for what these men are testifying against you?" But he kept silent and did not answer or offer any answer. Again, the high priest was questioning him and said to him, "Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed One?" And Jesus said, "I am. And you shall see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power and coming with the clouds of heaven." Tearing his clothes, the high priest said, "What further do we need of any witnesses? You have heard the blasphemy. How does it seem to you?" And they all condemned him as deserving of death. And some began to spit on him, and to blindfold him, and to beat him with their fist, and say to him, "Prophesy." Then the officers took custody of him and slapped him in the face. And while Peter was below in the courtyard, one of the slave women of the high priest came, and seeing Peter warming himself, she looked at him and said, "You were with Jesus the Nazarene as well." But he denied it, saying, "I neither know nor understand what you are talking about." And he went out into the porch. The slave woman saw him and began once more to say to the bystanders, "This man is one of them." But again he denied it, and after a little while the bystanders were saying again to Peter, "You really are one of them, for you are a Galilean as well." But he began to curse himself and swear, "I do not know this man of whom you speak." And immediately a rooster crowed a second time. And Peter remembered how Jesus had made the remark to him, "Before the rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times." And he hurried on and began to weep. Love you.